to Charm Chats.
Hello!
Hello!
Welcome to Charm Chats with Kendra.
And Kat. We are on episode 503.
Happily Ever After.
So it's going to be a fairy tale fun time.
Uh-huh.
This episode aired on September 29th, 2002. We're going to get right into it because there will be tangents
Yes.
right off the bat.
Many.
Oh man, this one's a good one for tangents, let me tell you. And I did, subdue myself a little. I didn't go crazy, but there's still a lot.
She went most hog. Not whole hog, but most hog.
Yeah.
She went 2 out of 3 hogs.
There you go.
Because fairy tales.
Yes.
The last one was in a brick house and you couldn't get to him.
Darn tootin'.
We start with a push-in on the house. It's night. There's that tree with no leaves.
Uh-huh.
And Piper is up in the attic reading aloud from a fairy tale book.
Mm-hmm. She is wearing a purple tank top that has a bit of a bedazzled trim and light gray sweatpants. Very comfy looking outfit. Her hair is in like a messy bun thing, and she's got the little square diamond necklace on.
The story she's reading is Snow White from the Brothers Grimm, from their book of Grimm's Fairy Tales, published in 1812.
Yeah.
And the first paragraph is exactly... The first paragraph and the second paragraph are exactly the same.
Yeah.
Like, we're just putting that out there. Although I think the third paragraph has some variation.
I was going to say, we don't see that for a
well,
bit. But
I know, but like...
We'll get there when we get there, because I have a picture of it in my notes.
We have pictures.
So that I can read it to you, because...
If you're in the Discord, you have seen this already.
Yeah. So, the Snow White story that she's reading is the one that was adapted into Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And that is DWARFS.
Mm-hmm.
And let me tell you, if you don't spell it that way...
You will never find them.
My notes thinks it's spelled wrong. If you try and do it with a VES at the end, my notes think it's spelled wrong.
Okay.
Because it's dwarfs, not dwarves.
Okay, see, dwarfs is a verb. Dwarves is a plural noun.
You'd think. And yet.
Computer, what the fuck?
Right? So every time you see the word dwarf or dwarfs in here, it will be dwarfs.
Okay, well, I was not going to call you out on that because it feels like a tomato thing, but also FS is a verb.
Yep.
Means to make others feel small.
Yes, but the book is Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Yes, I get that.
So, yeah. Though you might think that you know the dwarfs' names, but I'd be surprised if you actually do. Now, the 1937 is when Disney got a hold of it, and it was adapted into the story of the dwarfs that most people know. So we have Grumpy, Happy, Sleepy, Sneezy, Dopey, Bashful, and Doc.
Can I please read the other names?
Yes, you can. In 1912, the story was first adapted into a Broadway play, where the names of the dwarves were...
Blick, Flick, Glick, Snick, Plick, Whick, and Quee.
Yes. And those are my favorite names ever.
That's good comedy to have them all rhyming, and then Quee.
Yeah.
He's a bit queer.
Yes.
Though I'll totally read the next one.
Yeah. The personally, I enjoy Mr. Magoo's Little Snow White because they have the best names.
Axelrod, Bartholomew, Cornelius, Dexter, Eustace, Ferdinand, and George.
Yep. They are in alphabetical order, and I love them.
Yes.
I have a D&D character who is the 13th born out of 26.
Oh, wow.
And they are all alphabetically named.
Oh my gosh, that's beautiful.
Because that's where my brain goes. And I was like, I want this person to have a very large family.
Is X Xander?
No.
Xavier?
No.
What is X? Have you decided yet?
Yeah, it's written down someplace.
Zladriel.
Hold on.
I don't know.
I had to look at my notes, but it is Yenius.
Yeah, that's a weird pronunciation for an X.
It's, a halfling name.
Okay.
So.
As long as it follows someone's rules.
Yeah. I went through and was like, I need names for halflings, and I went down the entire alphabet. And it's very funny because my character's name was Mannix. and they were non-binary,
Yeah.
so it was man Nix.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny. It kind of I didn't even plan it that way. It's just kind of how it worked out. Anyway,
None of these versions of Snow White are to be confused with a different Grimm fairy tale. I mean,
White
really,
and
all
Rose
they
Red.
did was like write down oral traditions. So they
Yeah.
didn't write any of this. They adapted them and like changed the shit that happens in them.
yeah. Well, the
So like that's why everyone's like, "Oh, the original fairy tales are so dark." And like, no. The Grimm fairy tales are very dark. Mm-hmm. The ones before those, not so much. The original Beauty and the Beast is actually quite nice.
yeah, the original Little Mermaid, not so much. But you know, again,
Well, no, but that's Hans Christian Andersen.
yeah, Hans Christian Andersen was
who
very dark.
He was a melodramatic man.
He
Was an extremely melodramatic
He
gay
very much
boy.
was, yeah. But this, like Kendra said, this version of Snow White is not to be confused with Snow White and Rose Red, which is a completely different Grimm Brothers fairy tale that involves bears, and it's a whole big thing. It's a really good read, though. I'm gonna link to that one just so you can read the plot summary, because that is actually a story I enjoy better. Because that's make friends with the crazy person, and they'll save you from the other crazy people,
Right.
And it works out well.
Yeah,
It's very nice.
I only know about the Snow White and Rose Red one, not because I like read it in the Grimms. Although I do think I have a copy of Grimm's fairy tales and stuff. But one of my favorite authors, Shauna Maguire, has a like 2-book series that's like kind of a what if fairy tales were real and also a disease that you have to fight against. So like people are fighting against the narrative with a capital N.
Nice.
And it's very interesting. And the main character is someone whose birth was kind of orchestrated. Well, not orchestrated, but like whose birth fulfilled the requirements of a certain narrative. And they're all categorized by number. So you know, like, what story we're talking about, but it's very clinical. And so hers is Snow White. And originally it was supposed to be Snow White and Rose Red because she had a twin. But her twin is a trans man, so he got out of the story, and now she's just a Snow White.
Nice.
Right?
That's super cool. Like that's the kind of book that I would absolutely
You
read.
absolutely should. No, you should get the audiobook because Mary Robinette Kowal reads it and its sequel. And
Cool.
Mary Robinette is one of my favorite authors and also literally my favorite audiobook reader.
Okay.
I wish she would do more because then I could just sit and like all day listen to her voice. It's so soothing.
Okay. Good to know. Yeah, because like I enjoy books that put a trope on its head. Like that's why I really like the Thursday Next series by Jasper Ford, because like he takes the first book is the Eyre Affair,
Yeah.
and it takes the story of Jane Eyre and starts it out in a way where you're like, that's not how Jane Eyre goes, and then by the end of it,
You find out why.
it turns into how Jane Eyre goes
Yeah.
because they needed that to happen
Yeah.
for the story to work out, and you're just like, what? And but that's the kind of story where it's cool to read. It's cool to have it read to you, like the audiobook, but the physical book has so many little, like, in-jokes in the wording and, like,
Right,
the spelling of things and stuff like that. It's very much, like, a literary person's dream of, like, let's put this in with that and whatever. And it's a whole big thing, and it's kind of crazy, and I enjoy it immensely. And I will extol the virtues of Jasper Ford with 2 F's. For like ever.
And isn't there an E at the end?
Yeah.
Okay.
F-F-O-R-D-E. Jasper Ford. He also wrote the book Shades of Grey, not to be confused with that other book that doesn't exist in my world. But his version of Shades of Grey is literally like you can only see like the entire world is shades of gray except for the one color that you can see.
Oh, interesting.
And like your name denotes what color you can see.
Wow. That's fascinating.
It's fascinating. And like you can see synthetic versions of the colors, but you can't see the actual color unless you are. It's a fascinating book. Mm-hmm. I believe I've given it to you. I believe we got you from the library to read it, and I don't think you actually got around to it.
We got me
Eyre Affair?
Eyre Affair, and I read it We didn't get me Shades of Grey.
Okay, well, I now own Shades of Grey.
Okay.
I will let you borrow it so you can read it because
Okay.
it's so good. Okay, sorry. Let's get back to this.
Paige walks in wearing a dress that looks like it was a 1970s waitress uniform.
Yeah, it kind of gave me Patty from the 70s vibe.
A little bit.
It's like a short little mini skirt kind of dress. It's yellow with like little red dots all over it that I think was supposed to look like flowers, but you couldn't really tell that from far away. And it's got buttons down the middle and this cute little collar, and it has little cap sleeves. It has brown ruffled lace stripe down, like as trim on the sleeves, and a stripe of brown ruffled lace that's see-through coming down each, like over each boob, and then two stripes down the middle where the buttons are, and there's a matching little yellow bow at the back. And the reason I know the lace is see-through is because she's wearing a little bit of pink underneath, and it's showing through the lace and the buttons. So I'm not sure if it's a cami top underneath it or it's a bandeau bra or something, but there's definitely a little bit of pink that you can see.
Mm-hmm.
And her hair is mostly down with just the bangs pulled back by a clip on the middle of her head. She likes this hairstyle a lot.
Yeah,
It looks
they all
really
do.
good on her, but like, it's not.
It was
my
very
favorite.
popular at that
It
time.
was
I
very,
remember
very
doing
popular.
it a lot.
I didn't do
it's-
it because I
it's-
didn't have bangs.
Well, yeah, and then it got eclipsed by the bump it thing,
Yeah,
because everyone was like, why just pull them back? Why not give them some height?
give them some value.
No, fuck that.
Yeah, no, not so much.
Anyway, she asks why Piper is still up, and Piper says she's not sleeping due to first trimester nonsense, which just about covers everything involved in a pregnancy,
Yeah.
including the pregnancy itself. And Paige
Yeah.
asks if Piper wants her to mix her up a potion.
Piper says that she doesn't want to turn her baby into a guinea pig, but Paige says she'd never risk turning her future niece into a rodent, which I thought was hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
I believe I've already wiki-tanged enough that since we're barely a minute into the show, I'm just going to link to guinea pigs. I'm not going to bother. But there's so much. I used to have guinea pigs. I love guinea pigs. They're absolutely
Mm-hmm. I
adorable.
love all cavies.
They're so cute. So cute. But we're going to just push on because, oh boy. Oh boy. Anyway, Piper says she doesn't want to subject her baby to anything that could be remotely bad for her. Paige says that she should then put away the silly fairy tales. Piper questions why she thinks they're silly, and Paige says that they're all about helpless women needing a big, strong man to come and rescue them, and they're filled with evil witches.
Point to Paige. She asks if Piper really wants to teach her kid that, and Piper says that Grams used fairy tales to teach them the value that good overcomes evil. Paige says her grandmother taught her values without big wolves devouring little girls, and asks if Piper wants her advice.
Piper replies, not really, but Paige walks over to the Book of Shadows, picks it up, and brings it over to Piper, saying that she should ditch the fiction and rely on what every other mother-to-be has, her natural instincts.
Cue groan from us.
Yeah.
We get a quick glimpse of the book in Piper's lap, and that she's opened pages full of text
Yep.
before she closes it.
Both pages, full of text.
Yes.
Piper says that her natural instincts are to panic, and that every other mother-to-be doesn't have to worry about her child orbiting to Tahiti when they're sent to their room.
Tahiti is a magical place.
Yes, it is.
Paige says that Piper is lucky to have two magical sisters to help, assures her she'll be fine, and then she leaves the attic with the Book of Shadows. Piper, of course, says she hopes so, and goes back to reading the fairy tale. And then we are shown the page in the book. There's a large painting of a man with an axe on the right side, and the words Snow White in very large ornamental print at the top of the left page. So not 2 pages of text anymore.
Hi, Blue.
Hi, Blue. Also, weirdly, the first 2 paragraphs of the story are the same thing, but the second paragraph is, like, missing the last 4 words from the final sentence.
Yeah, it's a little weird, and not to mention the wording in the book is also a little odd. I'm going to read it to you now because you have to know what this is, because I need somebody else to have this in their brain.
I was just waiting for him to bagel.
Once upon a time, in a land far away, lived a queer little queen who had to have her way. She talked to her mirrors, and so jealous was she that she made herself ugly just to she could see. Not so, but to. A fair beauty so twisted that lived in the woods with odd little midgets who once understood that this beautiful damsel so soon would fall asleep until kissed by a stranger in that state she would keep. So they went on the web to find her a mate, 'cause they didn't want to live with a girl in that state.
What the fuck? Oh my god. That's
Yep.
really funny.
Yep. And this is the other funny part, is that when Piper is then shown reading, she's looking at the right-hand page, which we have now been shown this insert, so she's staring at a picture of the axe-wielding man.
Mm-hmm.
And
And whenever
reading-
she's reading, there's not those words.
Nope. Nope.
Who fuck printed this out?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Just wait. It gets better even further down the line. We'll have another bit of story time.
Yeah. Her words bring us into a page-turning transition shot.
But it's not a page turning like right to left. It was an up to top or a bottom to top transition.
Weird.
But it still looked like a page turn. It was very weird.
There's a large castle on the cliff, full moon in the sky, and then we see an old man cleaning a mirror, and a face of a woman is shown in it.
The man, who is credited on IMDb as Keeper of the Fairy Tales, and we will find out that he is such in a later scene, is played by K.E. Cutter. That's Cutter with a K. He was born in California in 1925 and died in 2003 at the ripe old age of 78.
So this was one of his later acting credits.
Yes. He had a couple of things posthumously, because he has 137 acting credits between 1951 and 2005. He might be well known by some older viewers or listeners from his character of Newt Kiley. He played that character on both the shows Petticoat Junction and Green Acres. I never watched the show, so, you know. Though he was on an episode of Star Trek Next Generation and an episode of Star Trek Deep Space Nine in the early 90s, he played two different characters on each of those
I'd
shows.
have to look
so
him up.
I'm assuming...
Although I can guess at who he played on DS9, but I'm not entirely certain.
Yeah, no idea.
Anyway, the woman, spoiler, she's credited as Evil Witch.
Yeah.
Is Natalia Nogulich. She's born in Chicago in 1950. She's got 151 acting credits so far, starting back in 1978. Kat really fucking recognized her.
She was in a couple of episodes of The West Wing, and I was like, I know that face.
And she was on TNG and DS9 as Admiral Nechayev, baby!
Yes.
Which is where I know her from.
Yes, I had a feeling you would.
Oh, baby!
Apparently she started out as a vice admiral and then became an admiral.
Yep.
That's a big thing that happens.
And there's,
You know.
always a vibe between her and Picard. It's hilarious.
Alrighty then.
Not as much as, what's the lawyer's name? There's like a JAG lawyer, in season 1 of TNG, who has to preside over the trial, deciding whether or not Data can be considered a man and able to ignore, like, orders or whatever.
Interesting.
It's called The Measure of a Man. It's a beautiful, beautiful episode.
Okay.
Her name is like right. The character's name is like right on the front of my tongue, and I can't access that. But like, oh boy, she and Picard vibed real hard. But Nechayev was good,
Cool.
hard ass and good.
Cool. Anyway,
The witch in the mirror seems annoyed that the man isn't dead yet. He comments on her still being bitter after all these centuries, and then turns to a young apprentice who is cleaning a glass slipper. This guy is played by Charlie Sheenan.
I'm assuming that that's like
Shananian?
like Shanahan or something. It's weird.
Shanayan.
Sure. I'm not sure exactly how you say it.
It's a lot of
but-
A's and N's and I's. Like,
Yeah, and when he gets he has a bunch of credits where the name is shortened.
yeah.
So
I'm gonna go with Charlie Shanayan
sure.
because that makes the most sense to me. Born in Peabody, Massachusetts, 1965. He's only got 4 acting credits between 2002 and 2010, so he didn't do a lot. In fact, this was his first gig.
Yep. He then had a 14-episode run as Deputy Mike Moran on the show 10-8 Officers on Duty.
A show of which I have never heard.
Yeah. Not a clue. He then had a spot on a short called Le Chase that he wrote, produced, and directed before ending his acting.
Are we sure it's pronounced that way?
I don't know.
It should be Le Chasse.
Sure, whatever. It doesn't really matter. Point is, his last acting gig was a single episode of a show called Tyranny, which is also weird. But I want to give you the summary of the show that he wrote, produced, and directed, because the summary is written by him, and this is why I say his name has been shortened.
Shania, yeah.
There you go. This is the summary. I'm going to say it as Le Chase because it's funnier to me that way. Le Chase, 19 minutes, black and white, in poorly spoken French with mangled English subtitles.
And mangled English is hyphenated.
Yes. Shot in the cinematic style of French New Wave film, Le Chase takes a comic look at the unlikely romance between Hero, an ordinary man trying to bring beauty to the world, and Francie, a street tough trapped in a life of vandalism and petty punkery. With the help of a kindly French whore,
Those
and
two words are capitalized.
and an extreme makeover, Hero is able to face his fears and convince Frenchie's band of hoods.
Francis.
Sorry. Hero is able to face his fears and convince Francie's band of hoods, appropriately called Les Punks.
Les punks.
Like I said, it's funnier for me if it's less. Just funnier that way. To give up their hooliganism, allowing Francie to unlock the heart that beats beneath her punkish shell.
The actual fuck?
Right? It was so funny. I had to take a picture of it and put it in here because I was not going to retype that. It was hilarious.
Oh, boy.
Absolutely hilarious. Now, the funnier part about Charlie is that I recognized him not from his acting work, but for the fact that he was married to Tori Spelling, and it did not end well.
Oh boy.
Get ready for this insanity. Dean McDermott was married to Mary Jo Eustace on July 24th, 1993. They had a son in 1998. Charlie and Tori got married July 3rd, 2004. Dean and Mary Jo were in the process of adopting a baby girl when he and Tori met in July of 2005 on the set of a Lifetime movie called Mind Over Murder. Tori has gone on record to say that she and Dean slept together the first night they met.
Ooh, fast.
Tori separated from Charlie in October 2005, so she'd been cheating on him for 4 months, and got engaged to Dean December 27th, 2005.
And here's a quick rundown of the next of the timeline.
Dean's divorce was finalized February 12th, 2006. Tori's divorce was finalized April 20th, 2006. And Tori and Dean were married on May 7th, 2006, in Fiji.
Wow.
They now have 5 children together.
Oh shit.
There is much more to that insanity, let me tell you. And I'm really proud of Mary Jo because she went on to adopt that little baby girl all by herself.
Didn't Tori Spelling have like a reality show for it?
Yeah. They still do, I think.
Oh fuck.
Yeah, Tori and Dean.
Oh boy.
They have a thing. And he apparently we're going to tangent a little bit more. Apparently he was like big into like alcoholism and drug use and whatever, and he wound up cheating on her in like 2014. And his literal reaction of why he cheated on her was because he didn't think he'd get caught. Because he was so far onto the alcohol and drugs that it never occurred to him that he'd get caught. And my first thought, of course, as my brain works this way, goes, once a cheater, always a cheater. Like, you cheated with each other while you were both married to other people, and you think he's not going to cheat on you? Why? This is why I enjoy polyamory, because you just be open and honest about the fact that one person does not make you whole.
Yep.
And you need more than one person in your life. But you have to be open and honest about it.
Yep.
Anyway,
the old man tells the apprentice to be careful because the glass slippers aren't just symbols, but pieces of history.
the apprentice says that he understands and puts the slipper back onto a little stand that has a little sign saying Cinderella.
And also, this is the flimsiest fucking slipper stand.
Right?
It's literally a tilted piece of metal with a tiny little piece of metal to catch the heel,
Yeah.
so it doesn't slide completely off.
Yeah.
Like,
It's got cute little spiral, though.
yeah, that's cute, but like, you want that shit to not fall over in the event of like an earthquake.
see, here's my thing.
Maybe put it like in a velvet fucking box.
Here's my thing with all of these things, right? He is the keeper of the fairy tales with all of these little props. Because the old man tells the apprentice that the power of every fairy tale emanates from each of the items in the room. And we get to see there's a red cape, there's a harp, there's a pumpkin, there's a red apple on top of some books, there's a rose in a glass jar, there's a genie lamp, an axe, there's a chair, and there's a couple of other things that I didn't recognize instantly. But all of them are just sitting out open on pedestals. And my first thought was, if you don't want them to get destroyed in any way, hurt in any way, ruined in any way, why aren't they, I don't know, contained in some way?
Yeah.
Instead of just out in the open, randomly around this room.
Who has access to this room? Where is security?
Yeah. Anyway, the nail, just tiny single nail, holding the magic mirror into the stone wall.
It's really more of a miniature railroad spike, honestly.
Yeah.
Into the mortar between stones.
Yeah.
Which is notoriously steadfast, right?
Oh, yeah, totally stable.
Oh.
It starts to come loose, much to the evil witch's delight.
Apparently she can see directly up out of the frame or something.
Well, I think what it was because when the old man turned away to talk to the apprentice, he kind of hit the mirror and the mirror started swaying and she noticed that.
Maybe.
And so with the nail coming out, the mirror was moving a little bit and so
Yeah.
she could notice the movement, I guess.
Yeah, the old man then expounds and says that the magic of these items continues to shape every child born, which makes the task of preserving and protecting them even greater. So, nonsense.
Right.
As he walks away from the mirror, the magic mirror falls from the wall, and he tries to get the apprentice to stop it. But of course, the kid doesn't get there in time.
Nope.
So mirror kind of smashes, but really just sort of taps itself on the ground, and spiderweb cracks happen.
Yeah, the mirror hits the floor. All of the pieces stay intact in the frame,
and also
but
it doesn't fall
cracked
over.
to shit.
It doesn't fall over.
No, it just kind of leans against the wall.
Yeah.
And then there's a white mist that floats out of it, and the frame kind of glows a little bit.
Yeah.
And then that mist forms into the evil witch. She is very happy to be out of the mirror, and she walks over to the old man, grabs him by the neck, piercing his neck with her nails. And there's all sorts of blood all over her hands, all over his neck. And then he drops to the floor, and she turns to the apprentice. And there's continuity error, because now there's absolutely no blood on his neck or her hands.
Oh well. The apprentice asks who she is. She's surprised that he's a bit rusty on his fairy tales. Replies, evil witch, magic mirror, speaks only the truth. And he's still, it's just going fucking over his head. She then says a spell. Spells a say. She spells a say. She says a spell. Freedom's lost must be unwitting. Into the glass to do my bidding.
And that's about how she said it, too.
I know. It was very musical.
Yeah.
So the apprentice gets sucked into the mirror. The glass unbreaks, and then the mirror just kind of floats up the wall and stays there without need of a nail.
Yeah. Yeah. It's meant to look like because she kind of lifted her hand.
Yeah.
So it looked like she was the one putting it back in place. But, okay, water. But, because it looked like she had, lifted her hand, so it looked like she was the one putting it back into place. But I don't know if that's really what happened or not.
Yeah. Anyway, the apprentice's face appears in the glass. The witch is very amused.
She asks to be amused. She goes, amuse me. And she goes, mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the most powerful witch? She doesn't say of all.
Yeah, I don't know.
Just who is the most powerful witch? And I'm like, really? You didn't even rhyme it?
Well, okay, that was just a 10th Kingdom thing, where if you talk to the magic mirrors, you have to do it in rhyme, so they'll actually tell you the fucking answer.
I love 10th Kingdom. That's a good 6 hours.
Yeah,
so
it really
good.
is.
He replies, you're much stronger than most witches I see, yet truth be told, there are 3 more powerful than thee. See, at least he rhymed.
I mean, the meter's a bit shaky, but it works. We see an image of Piper in the attic reading her book. Same outfit. And then Phoebe at her office typing away on a laptop.
She's in a sleeveless denim vest over a white bandeau bra.
Super work appropriate, Phoebes.
With her hair up and her glasses on, but the image isn't clear enough to see what else she's got. We then see Paige in that same yellow dress in the kitchen of the manor making a potion of some kind. The apprentice seems pleased with his answer, but the witch, not so much.
And we go to opening credits.
We do. We can see in the opening credits that we don't have Daryl this episode. We do have Cole, and everyone's got some new clips
Yeah.
when their names show up. So I'm excited for when we actually do get Daryl to see if he gets new clips or not. I'm assuming he will, but you never know. We then see Piper asleep on the couch in the attic with the Book of Fairy Tales on her chest, a blanket over her legs. She's still in that same outfit.
Paige walks in holding the Book of Shadows. She's now got black pants and an orange satiny shirt that's like kind of falling off one shoulder. It's got like 2 orange strings coming off of the sleeves. They're supposedly for like gathering the fabric of the sleeves, but they're not doing that at the moment. They're just freeloading.
Yeah.
Also, she's got to be wearing a sleeveless bra.
Yeah, because she definitely is wearing a bra. Because when she sits down in a moment, you can see the outline of the bra. So she's definitely wearing one, but it's got to be sleeveless. Or maybe one sleeve, but I'm assuming sleeveless.
Yeah.
Her hair is now completely down, and I really like it when her hair is down. Because the way that her hair is, it's short and red, and it looks really, really cute when it's all down. It's nice and poofy
This
and
season
adorable.
is my favorite of her hairstyles. Of all the 4, 5 seasons she's in or whatever. It's fine.
Yeah.
Paige calls out for Piper, who wakes with a start, asking where the baby is.
Paige calms her down, and Piper says that she must have had a nightmare, and she puts the book down, and even though we can see that Piper has a bra on under the shirt, we can still see her nipples. Like, it must have been cold under the book, you know? And, like, her nipples are off to the sides.
Well, just no padding.
Yeah. And it's just like, huh, interesting. But I know that she's wearing a bra, because you can see the strap of the bra. It was weird.
Anyway. Paige says that the Brothers Grimm strike again, and wonders if that's how they got their name.
Yeah. So I know that I've mentioned them earlier, so I'm not going to change it again. But they actually did have the last name Grimm. Like, it wasn't a pen name or anything like that. So I'll links to the website, all that good stuff, you know, as per usual.
Paige asks where Leo is. Piper says she thinks he's helping one of his charges, and then asks what Paige is doing. She replies, failing miserably, because she can't make her protection potion work.
She places the Book of Shadows back on its stand as Piper tells her that she's failing because protection potions can't be done. And Paige... I love Paige. She says that the book says it can, and your Grams was working on the entry, so it means that she must have been close to figuring one out.
Piper says it's too bad Grams isn't around because she could help the both of them, mentioning that she herself needs a little guidance. And Paige reminds Piper about her friend Wendy, who just had a baby.
Which is a nice little callback to episode 407, Brain Drain.
But Piper reminds Paige that Wendy's baby doesn't have the ability to heal herself from the womb.
I mean, fair.
Yeah. She says she wishes she could talk to someone who's been through it before, and then Phoebe races in.
She is in black pants that either have a shiny black panel on the waist or it's a shiny pleather belt. I'm not sure. I think it's part of the pants, though. She also has a cropped lilac tank top that has sheer black fabric under it at the stomach and on the arms, but I'm not sure how the sheer black fabric is attached, as it's falling off her left shoulder, much in the way that Paige's shirt is falling off her shoulder.
But this doesn't look like it was designed that way. It just is happening, and they're letting it go.
Right. And then there's a little butterfly pin on the strap of the right shoulder, but it doesn't look like it's attached to the black sheer. So, I'm not sure.
It is a mystery.
It is a mystery. Her hair is mostly pulled up with a clip, and she's got some little bangs hanging down, and she's wearing these, like, medium-sized gold hoop earrings that really look good on her.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's a good style of earring with her face. It works nicely.
Yeah. Phoebe asks Paige if she ever got around to making that vanquishing potion from the letter opener with gold blood on it. Paige is like, oh, I didn't know there was a rush job on that. And Phoebe tells them about her dream that Cole had her back in the underworld as his queen, hoping it's not a premonition.
Piper reminds her that she's had that nightmare before. And
Phoebe reminds her she's lived that nightmare before and says they need to be prepared.
It's like, we've lived that. All of us.
Yeah.
Paige doesn't argue, and Phoebe reminds them that Cole has a lot more powers now, so she doesn't know what he might be able to do to come after her, and she wants her sisters to be careful.
Piper says that trying to kill them isn't the best way for Cole to win Phoebe back.
Paige says it wouldn't be the first time he's tried, and Piper says that Cole just helped them save Phoebe, but Phoebe reminds her that he only did it so he wouldn't lose her.
True.
You know.
Phoebe says that they need to be ready just in case he tries something. He's still a demon, and tells Paige to call her at work if she gets the potion.
And then she leaves the attic, and Paige heads off toward the Book of Shadows. But the way she leaves the attic is like teeny tiny tiptoe steps.
Yeah.
It was very funny.
Yeah.
It was like that like tiptoe run step thing.
Mm-hmm.
Hilarious. We then get a bit of a warbly transition shot, and we find ourselves back with the magic mirror.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like ripples in water.
Yeah,
but,
yeah. It's
you know,
it's my
mirror.
favorite, one of my favorite kinds of like pull out shots. Like, oh, turns out you were actually watching this the entire time, and here's the medium through which you were watching.
Yeah, it was very cool.
Mm-hmm.
So
So yeah, the witch has been watching the girls.
Yeah.
The apprentice appears in the mirror and asks if she wants to see more, but she says she's seen enough to know how to kill them. He warns that good magic protects the charmed ones, and he's no longer rhyming for some goddamn reason.
Yeah.
So she decides to swing her lovely cape around and gesture to the room and be like, I'ma use these.
Yes. She'll use the props to her advantage.
And the apprentice is like, bitch, that'll change their meaning. And she's like, I don't care.
Yeah. No shit, Sherlock. She has no issue with shifting fairy tales away from good. Though if you've read those fairy tales, you know, Disney's the one that made them all nice and sweet, but not all of them are.
And let's, like, Grimm definitely swung the opposite way of Disney. The original ones are, you know, fairly neutral.
They really were fables, though. They were trying to teach people lessons.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know.
And then Grimm's like, we don't like the lessons he's teaching. Let's make them dark.
Yeah.
And scare children
Yeah.
into being nice.
I mean, I don't think that Grimm's fairy tales were really for kids. They were more for, you know, young adults and that like. Anyway, she goes over to a large fairy tale book that's on a table, turns a page. It's a huge fairy tale book, like
Ginormous.
huge.
Like the size of your fucking laptop.
It's bigger than my laptop.
I mean, it's definitely thicker.
It's bigger than my laptop.
Oh, is
like
it?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's like the
fuck.
size of this table. Like it's a very.
It is
a
not as
very
big as this table.
I said like the.
Okay, so it's somewhere in
quite
between
big.
the size of your laptop and the size of this table.
It was quite big.
That flag?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've got like a 2x3 flag, so
Yes.
somewhere in that.
It's a
that
very
vein.
large book. Anyway, she turns a page and it shows the story of Snow White, and we see a black and white picture of the same man with the axe that we were shown in Piper's book that was colored.
Mm-hmm. So the witch calls forth the woodsman because apparently Snow White was easy prey. So the picture glows, and the real life woodsman appears in the room. He gets a line, but he's uncredited as Huntsman on IMDb.
Yeah, he gets an uncredited credit.
His name is Carl Ciarfallo
Sure.
or Ciarfalio.
Sure.
Born in California in 1953, he's an actor, a stuntman, stunt coordinator. He's got 128 acting credits starting back in 1982 and 183 stunt credits starting in 1979.
He was the recipient of the Best Fight Sequence Award at the first annual Stuntman Awards for his performance on the TV show Knight Rider. He became a member of the Stuntmen's Association of Motion Pictures in 1985, where he served as president from 1992 to 96. And in 2001, he helped establish the first Emmy Award for Outstanding Stunt Coordination. I can't believe that it took till 2001 for that to be a thing.
Right?
Anyway, I
mean,
like...
considering all of the shit, like, names. Not Charlie Chaplin.
Yeah.
Like old-timey stunt
Charlie
dudes.
Chaplin.
Well, no, like, there was a different one whose name I'm blanking on, who did the thing with the house.
That was Charlie Chaplin.
That was Charlie Chaplin? Who am I there's another name that I'm thinking
Buster
of.
Keaton?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. I think the house might have been Buster Keaton.
Yeah.
Yeah. The train, I think. There was a train one that was Charlie Chaplin.
No, I think that might have also
That might
been
have
Buster
also
Keaton.
been. Yeah, Buster
I think
Keaton.
Buster Keaton was the stunt film dude.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
Charlie
yeah, Charlie Chaplin
Chaplin
was
I think Charlie Chaplin did one that was like a optical illusion where it seemed like he was gonna fall over through the thing, and he was wearing roller skates or whatever, but it was just like painted on.
That could be.
And it was just the camera angle that made it look
That could be.
like
yeah.
he was in danger.
Buster Keaton.
Buster Keaton actually did a bunch of fucking stunts.
Yeah, his was all down to perfect timing.
Yeah.
And perfect construction.
Yes.
And my goodness.
Oh boy.
Whew.
Anyway.
Anyway, I enjoy when we can find some good stuff on an uncredited actor to give them a moment of appreciation. Because it doesn't happen very often.
Correct. The witch tells the woodsman to bring her the heart of the witch as white as snow, and then picks a very, very shiny axe up off of a stand and hands it to him.
And she does a very good job of showing that it's supposed to be heavy, and he does a very good job of showing that he can hold it with ease. Like, because she lifts it with like, oh god, this is so heavy, and he just takes it from her.
I mean, those props can be pretty fucking solid.
Yeah. But I love the fact that she did a very good job of showing it that it had heft, so that when he took it without any effort at all, it was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
He's a strong boy.
Yeah. He then replies, as you wish. And we both had Princess Bride flashbacks.
Yeah.
And then he leaves. So she goes back over to the mirror, asking to be shown the sister who's been burned by love.
We then get images of the bay mirror as Phoebe walks in. The image from the mirror warbles into the actual office as Phoebe comes in with a cup in her hand, apologizing for being late. Now, her assistant, who has no picture on IMDb and had an uncredited credit on IMDb back in 501, but I don't think she was actually shown on screen, so I didn't mention her. The assistant is played by Tinsley Grimes. She was born in May 1984, and she only has 20 acting credits between 1999 and 2013. Her first gig was actually as Little Red Riding Hood in the Drew Barrymore movie Never Been Kissed, which I think is hilarious.
Especially for this episode.
Yeah. She also had a single episode role on Gilmore Girls just before this episode of Charmed, where she played Carol Springsteen in an application anxiety episode.
Right, yeah. No, that was
3.
the real estate agent that Luke was talking to.
I will take your word for it. I don't remember. It's been a while since I watched Gilmore Girls all the way through.
Yeah, it was an episode where he brought Lorelai along because he was like, I don't know, looking at houses or some shit. I forget why. But yeah, and then Lorelai immediately starts pretending to like be his girlfriend or whatever, and he's just like, what are you fucking doing? Because it's Luke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, some people might recognize her from her role of Katie Howard in the ill-fated spin-off That 80s Show.
Yeah. See, you know what that 80s show reminds me of? It reminds me of how we have the Goldbergs, and then there's like a spin-off of the Goldbergs, Schooled.
Oh, jeez.
Or something like that. Or maybe I'm wrong, but like I feel like it's a spin-off of the Goldbergs. Like it involves someone they're tangentially related to.
I don't know.
But yeah.
That 80s Show was not a good show.
No.
It just wasn't. And see, I think it was what's her name? Oh god, she was on Grey's Anatomy. Is it Chandler? Skyler?
I don't know.
I don't
who
know.
you're
I can't hold on. Gonna pause. Kyler Lee
or possibly Shyler.
Shyler Lee. Yeah, I don't
It's
remember.
either Kyler or Shyler. It's not Chyler. For
Sure.
damn sure.
All I know is it's CHY. And so I'm not sure exactly how that is pronounced. She was on Grey's Anatomy.
She's currently on Supergirl as
Yeah.
Alex.
Yeah. But she was in that 80s show. And she had, like, spiked up hair. But if it had been
upright-
a mohawk, it would have looked cool. But it wasn't a mohawk.
They
It
were,
was
like-
long fucking spikes.
Like, if she had tentacles on her head and got electrocuted and they just stood straight up.
Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was not a good look. And I don't understand why anybody thought that was a good look.
Anyway, the assistant tells Phoebe that she's moved her schedule around to accommodate the tardiness. Phoebe has no idea what anything that her assistant just said actually means and asks if she's got messages. The assistant says her divorce attorney called, then Cole called 3 times.
Yes, it was Cole, and then Cole, and then Cole again.
And so Phoebe naturally tells her to get her divorce attorney on the phone, and then turns around and bumps into a dude in a suit, spilling her drink all over his arm and her shirt.
Now, he was instantly recognizable.
No!
So
oh my
let's
God.
tell you about him real quick. This actor is Sean Patrick Flannery. He was born in Louisiana in 1965, raised in Texas. He has 109 acting credits starting back in 1987. Now, most people, as I did, will probably recognize him as his role of Connor McManus in The Boondock Saints, or from his role of the title character in the movie Powder. He was also on a few episodes of the TV shows Dexter and The Dead Zone, or If you knew him from way back at the start of his career, you might know him best as Indiana Jones from the TV show Young Indiana Jones Chronicles and the Adventures of Young Indiana Jones from back in the 90s.
Yeah, no, none of those are where I recognize him from.
What did you recognize him from?
A little movie called Simply Irresistible with
yeah.
Sarah Michelle Gellar,
I forgot he was in that.
where a magical crab helps her cook magical food, and he's like a department store, like, not owner, but like, he's a department store manager. And it's beautiful. There was actually a reference to it in a recent Good Place episode. One of the characters like, I love soft magic. Give me a Simply Irresistible. And then he just names a bunch of other fucking movies.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I love that there was a nod to that movie because I fucking love it.
Nice. Very cool.
But yeah, it's a very interesting movie. Like, Sarah Michelle Gellar they dyed her hair red for some reason. And oh my god, it's just beautiful and wacky and makes you really want to eat a bunch of eclairs.
Alrighty then. I haven't seen that one in a long time. I'll have to watch it again
Yeah.
at some point. But my favorite fun fact about Sean Patrick Flanery is that he got into acting because while at the University of St. Thomas in Houston, Texas, he saw a beautiful girl leaving a building on campus every Monday. So, naturally, he dropped out of the English class that he had and decided to sign up for, quote, whatever the hell they're teaching in that building, unquote. Apparently, the building was the theater department and the class they were teaching was acting. His first paid role was a Kellogg's Corn Pops commercial, which he started with Paul Walker.
Wow, his dick is a dowsing rod.
Wow.
Am I wrong?
I mean, whew. Anyway.
Phoebe's assistant runs off to go get some paper towels. Sean apologizes and pulls a handkerchief out of his pocket. There's like some liquid on his jacket, but at this angle we can see absolutely nothing on Phoebe's shirt.
Yeah,
Just keep that in mind.
Yeah. He starts to wipe the coffee off of Phoebe's chest. She then takes the handkerchief from him. He apologizes again, saying that he'll pay for her dry cleaning. She fans herself with the handkerchief and says it's not necessary, and we learn that his name is Adam Prinz.
Prince. They pronounce it Prince.
Yes, but it is most definitely...
it is with a Z, not a C.
Yeah, Prinz.
Z as in Zugma.
With a Z.
Yes.
Yes. She starts to introduce herself, but he knows who she is because he reads her column.
She seems to be surprised by this, which he mentions, and she's like, you're not really my target audience unless you're a closet housewife pining for love.
He replies that 1 out of 2 ain't bad, and then Cole walks in.
Cole apologizes to Adam for getting stuck in traffic, and Phoebe's like, why are you here? Adam is surprised they know each other, and Cole's like, we're married. And Phoebe's like, about to be divorced?
Yeah.
Let's be clear.
Yeah.
And Cole says he doesn't want that to affect Adam's decision about buying the paper.
Phoebe is, of course, confused, and Cole says that Adam's family owns several newspapers across the country, as well as TV stations, and Adam says that Cole, through his law firm, is the one that suggested that he might be interested in buying the Bay Mirror.
Phoebe says that's fascinating, tells Adam to excuse us, meaning her and Cole, and then drags Cole into her office by his shirt.
She closes the door to her office, and the non-existent coffee stain is now a huge coffee stain down the front of her shirt. Dark brown, right down the front of the light purple shirt.
Yeah.
Like starting from the middle of the chest and just a V shape outward.
Yeah.
All the way down the front of the shirt.
She says that whatever he's up to isn't going to work. He asks if she's not being paranoid. She's like, absolutely not.
Yeah. Well, now, my demon ex-husband? I don't think so.
Yeah. And he says he's just trying to help. So she does her usual spiel about hurting her or her sisters. Vanquish him, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Make sure it sticks, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then Phoebe opens the door and Cole leaves. And she goes to sip from her now empty cup as Adam walks up to see if she's okay.
She says that she'll be fine. He asks, oh, that's good, but, so I'm guessing this isn't the best time to ask you out. Because apparently he is hosting a charity fundraiser at the St. Regis and wonders if she'd be interested. She says that she is both interested and flattered, but he's worried about it not being the best time and asks for a rain check, which he agrees to, and he walks off. Now, did you know that the phrase rain check dates back to 1877 and it started with baseball?
I knew it started with sports because I remember that being a thing when I played soccer as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we would have, it would be too rainy, and we'd be like, okay, we're taking a rain check.
Yeah. It was literally so the club wouldn't have to give money back when a baseball game was
Of
called on
course.
account of rain.
Of fucking course.
Right. So instead, they would give a ticket to people as they were leaving that was good for a game on a different day. This, of course, led to loss in revenue because people who hadn't been at the game but were able to get into the club by, like climbing a fence or something, would then show up on rainy days to get a ticket for a free game on another day. It took them until 1889, thanks to a player named Abner Charles Powell, to add a perforated stub to the original ticket so the people who actually paid for a ticket would be able to get back in because the stub would count as their rain check.
Gosh, Abner's not a name you see a lot
It
these
really
days.
isn't.
Can we bring that back? Can we, stop naming kids Matt and John and, Karen and everything? And, just go real deep into the cultural archives and pull a name from there instead of doing the weird, stupid Mormon thing of just adding Y's in random places?
Oh my god. I do not understand who started that, and I want them to burn
I was
in a
reading
fire.
about that this morning. Apparently, all of the weird-ass spellings are because in Mormon culture, you have, a name blessing or something before the kid is born, and that's when they announce the name of the child, the full name. You've been blessed. You cannot avoid it in Mormon culture because Mormon culture is extremely conformist.
Okay.
In a very
It's very
strange,
full of ritual.
a very strange way.
Yeah.
You have to get permission to have your hair a different style if you're a missionary.
I mean, yeah.
But length. Half-inch of length different. It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous, but I understand the logic
if you wear a
of
blue
it.
shirt to church, you get called out instead of a white button down.
Like I said, it's
kind of thing.
ridiculous, but I
But anyway.
understand the logic of it.
But anyway, so the kids naturally spend their entire lives, the girls especially, thinking up names for their future hypothetical children, and then say someone they know and are close to in their family announces before the name blessing thing what their kid's going to be named because they're having a baby, and oh shit, you've chosen the same name. Oh well, I don't you've been imagining this since you were a kid. You don't want to abandon that name, so what do? You change the spelling. It might sound the same, Cynthia, but it's not the exact same name. You can't get mad at me about this. I didn't steal your idea.
Yeah.
And so that's where this all fucking started, because people have a love of the concept of uniqueness, but they're fucking dumb about it. And they don't actually know how to make things unique. They're just this is how we change it up.
That reminds me, there was a video that I saw that was getting pissy and about people naming their kids with stupid fucking names. Mm-hmm. And it started, of course, with the one that was, A, B, C, D, E.
Absidae, yeah.
Yeah. But then
That's fucking clever, I gotta say.
I kind of enjoy it. I don't mind it. But my favorite...
LaDasha
was the second one on the list. And then you had this one, which was spelled SSSST. Pronounced forest.
Yeah, I was about to get there, but yeah.
And then the last one, which I immediately got, was spelled JKMN. Pronounced Noel.
I love it!
Uh-huh.
Oh my god! Oh my god. See, when the name is a pun,
I knew you would enjoy that.
I can't not love it.
Yeah,
These
I knew
are
you'd enjoy
fucking
that one.
clever. Adding 5 Y's to Caitlin is not clever.
Yeah, no.
But going JK and then to be Noel. Oh my god.
Uh-huh.
I am red.
Kendra has now turned almost as red as her hair.
Oh, baby. That reminds me of the one horse, Kentucky Derby horse, that's named P-O-T and then 8 O's. Potato.
Yep.
Oh, boy.
Yep.
No, LaDasha Dash is super clever. Like, oh my god. I see. And then people from cultures like Ireland, where they have actually pretty traditional names that are spelled
weird.
using a non-native alphabet to their language.
Like Siobhan has a B in it.
Well, it makes their rules are consistent, but they're not using the alphabet that makes sense for their language. So, like, they're using an English alphabet. It's gonna look weird to all of us. It's not gonna have the same rules we're gonna be used to.
Yeah.
But like, Gaelic and Welsh are actually fairly consistent compared with English.
Yes.
It's just they don't follow English rules, so it's a little confusing until you get used to it.
Yeah.
But like, Saoirse Ronan.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's like, "Oh my god, how do you pronounce that?" And she has to say it a dozen times in a press tour, and she's like, "Get fucking used to it. It's Saoirse.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Yeah.
Come on."
Like, learn that this spelling is pronounced this way.
And it's a very traditional name, and she gets lumped in, like, those kinds of names get lumped in with the stupid add a Y wherever the fuck you want kind of names, because they're weird, and you're like, how are you supposed to pronounce that? But, like, come on, guys. This is not being unique for the sake of being unique. This is
An actual
this
name.
is an actual name that has been used for centuries. Get the fuck with the program.
Yeah.
Or, I love that skit from Key and Peele where they're
A.A. Ron.
You done fucked up, A.A. Ron. Like that kind of a thing.
Yep.
Just making fun of white people's names, which apparently that's because that's an anglicization of an old Hebrew name or some shit.
Mm-hmm. That it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Anyway, let's get off of this tangent.
Indeed.
Back at the manor, Piper and Leo are in the conservatory.
Leo is in a long sleeve.
You stopped calling it the Wicker Room.
It's because it's written as conservatory, and I just didn't change it. You know, we can call it the Wicker Room, whatever.
I was just concerned for you.
No.
I was conserved for you.
Yes, I just didn't do as much work. I didn't change it. I just left it as is.
You conservatoried your energy?
Exactly. Leo is in a long sleeve orangish yellow polo shirt with dark pants. Piper is in gray pants, like kind of darkish gray pants, and a low-cut olive green shirt that has some trim under the bust and a little tied bow in the middle. I really like this shirt on her, like a lot.
It's very cute.
This color looks really good with her skin tone. It's very nice. Her hair is completely down, and she has still that square little diamond necklace on.
Piper is telling Leo to bring Grams back. He reminds her that Grams is dead. He can't just do that. And she tells him that she's not asking for Grams to be resurrected. She just needs to talk to her and get some advice.
Leo tells Piper to try conjuring her like she's done before. And Piper's like, yeah, that was a unique situation. Besides, I already tried it, didn't work.
She says she knows it doesn't seem important, but that it is. She can't do this alone. And he tells her that she's not alone. She's got him. And she's like, yeah, there's only so much you can do unless, because, like, she's the one carrying the baby. She doesn't want to screw it up.
He says that's ridiculous, and she says it's not because, quote, this is a very special baby with very special needs.
And she needs someone pretty damn special to help her figure it out.
And then she says, when I say now, I mean now. And then there are some lights that appear behind them. And Grams suddenly appears, wearing a lovely long-sleeve red maxi dress, a chunky necklace with matching earrings, a large metal bracelet, and a belt that's made up of metal circles.
And also
a bunch
kind of
rings.
like hanging to the side of her.
Yeah, it's a little tilted on her hip.
Her belt looks like the original Catwoman costume. A little bit. Like her utility belt.
Yeah, where it's
That's
tilted
what it
just a
reminds
little
me
bit.
of.
Yeah.
Well, the shape of it too, because it's the circles.
Yeah.
And
her hair is also a little bit more red than we've seen it before.
it's like very strawberry blonde.
Yeah. I like it, though.
Yeah,
It
it's
looks
great.
nice. Grams is, of course, surprised to see Piper. Piper thanks Leo. Leo says, don't thank me, I didn't do anything. And Grams asks why she's there and, corporeal.
Piper asks if she didn't come by on her own power, and Grams replies, I'm good, but I'm not that good. Hey, can I have a hug?
Yeah.
So they hug. Piper's like, I don't understand. Who summoned you? And Leo's like, maybe the baby. Maybe the baby.
Yeah. Piper, he says that Piper might have tapped into her powers and made her wish come true. And Grams is like, oh, you wished for me? Why? Which I thought was very funny.
Piper's like, I need help and advice. I need to know how to get ready for the baby.
Grams, of course, says that it's easy and then asks Piper if she's been exercising her powers daily. Piper asks if she needs to which Graham replies, only if you don't want to lose control of them. Can you say foreshadowing?
Foreshadowing.
I knew you could.
Yay.
She then asks if Piper has performed a ritual to promote growth or cast a spell to ward off demonic parasites.
When she doesn't respond, Grams asks what they have done.
And Leo says he built a nursery in their bedroom closet, to which Grams gets to reply, no wonder this baby called me. I laughed for a good 30 seconds. It was a perfection.
She tells them they can start there, and they head into the foyer. Paige then comes down the stairs, says something about already interviewing nannies, and laughs because she doesn't recognize Grams.
Right.
She's never seen her before.
Yep. Grams says that Paige is even more beautiful than she imagined. Paige asks who she is, and Grams introduces herself and goes in for a hug. Now, Paige doesn't really reciprocate the hug and has this weird look on her face, which Piper notices.
Piper then whispers to Leo to go clean up the nursery, and he takes off toward the stairs.
Why he doesn't just orb up there, I don't know.
That'd be a little too conspicuous, I think.
I mean, maybe, but, whatever.
Paige asks if Grams isn't supposed to be dead, and Grams replies, oh, I'm over that.
And again, I laughed for another, 30 seconds. It was just, the way the line was read, the timing of it was so perfect.
Grams then says that Paige has her, meaning Grams' mother's eyes, and that her mother was a real looker, which is really funny if you think back to the fact that Holly technically played Grams' mom in the flashback episode. Although, granted, that was more a visual representation of, their souls reincarnating. She didn't look like her, actually. But...
Yes, but it's just interesting that,
Yeah.
That's how they did that.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
It for me, it was just the funniness of, she played her own grandma, It's just great-grandma.
Her own great-grandma, yeah.
Yeah. Grams asks if Paige has plenty of boyfriends, to which Paige replies that's not a problem she's got right now, and calls her Mrs. Halliwell.
Grams tells her to call her Grams, and then the woodsman comes crashing through the stained glass of the conservatory. He swings his axe at Piper, slicing her arm. She falls into Grams, they fall on the floor, and then he swings at Paige, but she orbs out, and his axe hits the door frame.
She orbs back in, he smacks her across the face, sending her crashing into a table, which brings our furniture annihilation quotient up to 2 for the season and 70 for the series.
The wound on Piper's arm magically heals itself as she turns to see the woodsman coming back to attack her and Grams. She screams a little and blows him up. The axe then falls to the floor. Piper's like, WTF, mate? And Leo runs back down the stairs asking what's going on, then runs over to Paige to help her up.
Back in the castle, the evil witch was watching them through the magic mirror, and the apprentice appears again, telling her that the fairy tale magic runs out at midnight.
She says there's still plenty of time. She won't fail like the woodsman did, so she picks up the red apple labeled Snow White, says she'll split the witches up, and make sure none of them live happily ever after. And she tucks said apple into her dress.
Yeah.
And like a
into
sleeve.
her little cloak.
Oh, into her cloak. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you meant just down her dress.
It kind of looked like that, but after I watched it again, I realized it was more into a pocket inside her cloak.
And then walks over to the glass slippers, picks them up, smokes out.
And we go to commercial break. We come back to Piper, Paige, Leo, and Grams walking into the attic. And Paige is like, it had to be a demon because no crazy person off the street is that good with an axe. Which I thought was very funny.
Yeah. Piper sits down, opens the fairy tale book, as Leo wonders when demons started attacking with axes.
Paige says that there's no real difference between an axe and an athame.
Other than, morphology.
And, size.
Everything, both have blades.
Yeah.
But
Grams opens the Book of Shadows and wants to know if there's any more where he came from because she doesn't want a body if it's just going to get chopped up.
Sensible. Paige mentions that Piper thinks Grams is a super witch, and she asks what she thinks he was. Grams, of course, doesn't know, but he did look vaguely familiar.
Piper then holds up the picture of the woodsman from the fairy tale book, asking if it looked like him, and Grams agrees that it did and is very happy that Piper recognized him too. Piper says that she's reading fairy tales to her baby just like Grams read to her. Grams giggles and says that she's glad that Piper's doing something.
Piper's face falls a little at that.
Yeah.
And Paige kind of rolls her eyes at the thought that a fairy tale character came to life and attacked them. Grams says they're real, or at least they used to be. And when she sees how surprised Paige is by this, she says she's got a lot to teach her, too.
Yeah. We then cut to the kitchen, where the evil witch smokes in, holding a gift-wrapped box in pink. She places it on the table, checks the tag, and then hears a car door outside. So she kind of gasps, pulls the red apple out of her robe, places it in the fruit bowl. It glows for a second, and then she smokes out as Phoebe walks in through the back door. She puts her purse down on the table, sees the gift, reads the tag, opens the lid, and then kind of glances up with a look of worry and confusion on her face.
Mm-hmm. It kind of looks like a cake box.
A little bit, but it's much smaller.
It's not that much smaller. Like, it's small cake. It looked like, the style of it looks like a cake box to me.
It looked more square than rectangular to me.
Yes, cake box.
Right.
But they can be all cake boxes.
I'm just saying,
Like any shape
once we
can be a
find
cake
out what's
box.
in it, it's a little weird that it was more square than rectangular.
Anyway, back in the attic, Grimm's is explaining that some fairy tales are recountings of ancient battles between good and evil, and they're as much a part of their heritage as anything in the Book of Shadows. Paige thinks it's hard to believe that giant beanstalks and gingerbread houses actually existed. Leah reminds her that she used to think the evil enchantress was just a fairy tale. Paige's like, that's different.
And Piper's like, yeah, it was a past life. Yours. And then Phoebe walks in carrying the gift box.
She starts to ask a question about where it came from, but then notices Graham's and immediately sets the box down and runs for a hug.
Yeah. She asks how Graham's got a body. Piper says it's a long story, and then mentions that a fairy tale just tried to slice their heads off. Phoebe, of course, questions this, and Leo says that it was the woodsman from Snow White.
Phoebe then shows them the box, containing what she says is probably Cinderella's glass slippers, and assumes they were sent by Cole because he knows it's her favorite.
Piper, of course, questions her, thinking that Cole is behind this, but Phoebe says that he's the only one she can think of with enough power to do it.
And of course, in the process, she is making this all about herself.
Of course.
Graham says that an evil witch was the one who sent the woodsman in Snow White, and Leo decides to check in with the elders. Mm-hmm. So he orbs out, Phoebe takes off her shoes, and Piper's like, what are you doing?
Phoebe says she's proving that she's right. Paige says that it's risky because she doesn't know what could happen, and Phoebe says that Cole wouldn't hurt her, at least not physically. She then opens the box, pulls out the slippers. Paige is, of course, worried because they don't know that Cole is the one behind this, but Graham thinks that they should play along to find out who is behind it because they can't just sit around and wait to get attacked. Paige thinks that Phoebe could get killed and asks Piper for support, but Piper doesn't want to disagree with Graham's.
Phoebe puts the slippers on, says she's fine, and then a swirl of little blue lights surrounds her, starting at her feet and going to her head. As they disappear, her entire outfit and hairstyle has changed.
She is now in a cream-colored tube top.
It's kind of champagne-y.
Yeah, it's like a creamy ivory kind of color.
It's also shiny.
Yeah, it has a sweetheart neckline and like a diamond pattern on it, and a bottom trim of puffy flowers with a big-ass bow on the back of matching fabric, along with a white miniskirt that has two large swaths of silver sequined fabric attached on the middle of the front right side. No bra, as her back is very, very exposed, and her hair is now very curly and voluminous. Now, I want to know who, in their right mind, thought that this would be the dress that Cinderella would wear. It's not even one piece. The pieces don't even match.
It's very,
I understand that it is very much a Phoebe outfit.
Oh boy,
and it's very much like an early aughts kind of outfit. But who was like, Cinderella? Yeah,
this is
a
more,
tight mini skirt and a huge poofy bow. That'll
This is
work.
more Met Gala than any fancy event a regular person would naturally go to.
Like, I don't understand it.
Yeah.
I don't understand why this was the outfit they went with.
It's a bit weird.
Like, it's not a bad outfit conceptually as pieces.
Uh-huh.
Like, I could totally see that top with, like, a matching pant.
Yeah.
Like, that top with pants would be really cool.
Ooh,
Or, like,
yeah.
that mini skirt with, like, a little...
saying
a bandeau
that
top?
with pants reminds me of the video of Hannah Hart at Kleinfeld.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I love that video.
And did you see Ella's?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had to make sure because it wasn't
absolutely.
like on the same channel. So
Absolutely.
but yeah.
But you know, that little mini skirt with like a little bandeau top, like a silver sequin bandeau top,
Yeah.
or white bandeau top, like that would be cute.
Ooh, and a lace jacket.
Yeah, like that would be super cute. But those two pieces together, I just don't.
Yeah, no.
It's a very confused look.
It really is.
I just don't get it.
Honestly,
and it doesn't say Cinderella to me at all.
No,
whatsoever.
what it says to me is you're trying to be the most unique person in the room, like at a fancy event, and you just had to go a little AWOL to achieve it. Anyway, everyone's like, "Are you fine?" She's like, "I'm better than fine." And then turns out, not only has she become Cinderella, she's also joined the Ministry of Silly Walks.
Yeah,
and she starts taking comically large steps toward the door, where she's clearly trying to like not take them, but she's taking them anyway.
Have you seen, there's one episode of like America's Next Top Model where they're trying to do like their signature walks, and one of the girls walks like a horse. Like, clomp, clomp, clomp. That's what this was.
Was that like season 4?
Yeah, I don't remember when it was. It was a while back.
Was that the same season where Tyra eliminated the 2 girls at once and then yelled at one of them?
Probably.
That was my favorite season.
Yeah, but like, it legit was just like, just huge clomping steps. And I'm just like, what? Okay, sure.
Oh boy.
Piper and Paige follow her, asking where she's going. She replies she doesn't know and she can't stop, so of course they try to hold her back.
Piper tells her to get out of the shoes. Phoebe's like, I can't.
Even though we don't see her try
but
at all.
But it makes sense, because if her feet are forcing her to move, there's no way she can just stoop down and remove them.
No, I get that, but like, she could have tried to grab for the shoe, something, but she doesn't even try.
But the shoes won't allow for that.
I'm just saying. She tries to stop herself from going through the door by holding onto the frame.
Piper asks Grams what they should do. Grams tells them to let her go, because they won't get to the bottom of this if they don't, so Paige and Piper let go of Phoebe.
Phoebe heads to the stairs. Grams tells Paige to follow her and orb her out if she gets into trouble. Paige says she's already in trouble, and then Phoebe yells for help, so Paige follows Phoebe.
Grams tells Piper that she'll have to help her get ready to be a mother later, as they've got to deal with evil witches, and Piper starts to head to the Book of Shadows. But Grams picks up the fairy tale book and says, nope, we need this one.
Yeah.
We cut to John Patrick Flannery wearing a black tuxedo, as he does in pretty much every fucking movie he's in.
Yeah.
Walking down a hall talking on a cell phone.
He tells whoever he's on the line with that he is interested in making an offer, but he's on the way to a charity event and wants to talk in the morning.
He gets into the elevator, and we know it's a TV show because the phone doesn't immediately lose signal, and it's the early aughts, so it should. As he hangs up, Evil Witch smokes in, startling him. She grabs his face and smacks one on him.
Oh, yeah.
And his face...
No consent.
His face glows for a moment, returns to normal, and then, like, goes slack, and he asks how he can serve his queen.
She tells him to just be a charming prince, meet Cinderella at the ball, and be certain that she's in the carriage at midnight, or he won't have a happy ending either.
Ooh.
Dun, dun, dun.
So we jump over to Phoebe and Paige, who are walking across the street without stopping. People in cars slamming on the brakes and honking their horns.
And there's an homage to the movie Midnight Cowboy as Phoebe smacks the hood of a yellow cab and declares, I'm walking here, a la Dustin Hoffman's character of Rizzo.
I read that as a miscongeniality reference.
Did you?
Yes.
Interesting. No, it was definitely Midnight Cowboy.
She didn't say walking in that movie. She said, I'm gliding here.
Yeah, no.
But it was also a similar vein of like, okay, lady trying to be fancy is walking across the street and then has to be uncouth.
Yeah, no, but it was definitely a Midnight Cowboy reference.
Okay.
Both of them were a Midnight Cowboy reference.
I'm sure Midnight Cowboy started it and then miscongeniality just capitalized on it. So yeah. I haven't seen Midnight Cowboy, which is
neither have
I
I, but
know.
I've seen that clip a lot.
I have not,
because there's a thing where it had started out that it was said that it was supposed to be like an ad-libbed line, but apparently it wasn't really. It was just they were trying to get the scene quickly and staying in character as Dustin Hoffman was like walking across the street. He won like the taxi almost hit him. And he smacked the hood, and he said in an interview, he goes, I wanted to say, we're shooting a movie here, but instead he stayed in character and said, I'm walking here, and just kept going. And that's why it wound up in the thing.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Anyway, Paige asks if she has no way to control them. Phoebe's like, they didn't come with an instruction manual, and she makes it to the sidewalk.
A moment later, Phoebe stops, and Paige bumps into her. Paige is, of course, happy that they stopped, but Phoebe wonders why they've stopped, and we hear the clip-clop of horse hooves.
And then a white carriage covered with flowers pulled by 2 gorgeous little white horses. and driven by a stone-faced white man, pulls up in front of them. Phoebe, still assuming this is from Cole, is like, well, he's got style. Paige wants to leave. Phoebe yells at the driver, asking him if Cole Turner sent him, but of course he doesn't even look at her. He just stays forward.
Yeah.
He might
She's
as
like,
well
I asked you
be
a
Gollum.
question, and he doesn't respond at all.
No.
And then the carriage door magically opens. Paige, of course, says that Phoebe isn't going to get into it no matter what, and then Phoebe's legs move toward the carriage. Paige tries to stop her, Phoebe gets in, Paige tries to follow, but a force blocks her and knocks her to the ground. Phoebe says that, Cinderella went to the ball alone, and so she's apparently supposed to go alone.
Yeah.
And the carriage starts to move.
Paige then stands up, telling Phoebe she'll orb her out, but Phoebe's like, no, go back to the manor. I'll call Leo if I'm in danger. So we time jump to the attic at the manor with Piper, Paige, Leo, and Grams. Paige says that Phoebe's in danger and they should never have split up.
She again calls Grams Mrs. Hollywell and is reminded to call her Grams.
Piper says that if what they've heard is true, then they're all in more danger than they thought. Leo says that using fairy tales for evil could rewrite them and corrupt them for every future generation.
Paige wonders how they can be rewritten if something's already in print.
Easy. You steal the original manuscript.
Yes.
Right, Jasper Ford?
Yep, absolutely. Leo tells her that every copy is a manifestation of an original, and that original was entrusted to the keeper of the fairy tales for protection ages ago.
He's got the text.
Piper tells her that the elders think that something has happened to him, meaning the keeper of the fairy tales.
Graham says it's an evil witch, and Paige wonders why they can't just orb to the fortress and kick her butt.
Leo says that no one knows where it is, not even the elders, and Paige wonders why they decided to do that in their infinite wisdom. Piper is defeated, saying they have no way to find her, but Grams reminds her that they can scry for a witch, which Piper seems to have forgotten was a thing she could do.
Grams tells her to lure her to the manor once she's been found, and they can vanquish her with a potion.
Paige asks what potion, and Grams mentions that there's one that works wonders on evil witches. But Paige seems unimpressed until Grams walks over to the Book of Shadows and says that they might have some time to work on Paige's protection potion, and that seems to make Paige happy.
They then take the Book of Shadows and leave the attic. Leo asks Piper if she's okay, but she shushes him so she can concentrate on scrying.
That brings our scrying tally to 1 for the season and 17 for the series.
We cut over to the castle. The image of Piper scrying fades out on the mirror, and the apprentice shows up. He tells the witch that she'll be found by midnight, and the witch is like, I want at least part of me to be found. So she cuts off a piece of her hair with some scissors, and then puts it into the Red Riding Hood.
Yes.
And the apprentice says, that's not in the tale. And the witch is like, yeah, but luring them away from grandmother's house is.
Yep. She goes over to the large fairy tale book on the table, saying that the big bad wolf also is, and we're shown a black and white drawing of a wolf.
We find ourselves in a large ballroom with black and white checkered floors and a large crystal chandelier.
It was a very pretty chandelier.
Yes. There's lots of people in fancy dress waltzing around the center of the room.
You gotta be. It's not fancy dress as in the UK fancy dress, because that would be costumes.
Well, yeah.
They're in suits and pretty dresses.
Yeah, but we're American. Why would we say fancy dress to mean costumes?
I'm just saying.
Like, heuristics, girl. Heuristics.
I'm just saying.
All dressed fancy.
There you go.
Are waltzing around in the center of the room. It's giving me a little bit of Enchanted vibes. Just
a little bit.
Just a smoosh.
A skosh.
A smoosh? No, a skosh? A sploosh? I don't know. Adam is chatting to some people, but he glances around, looks at his watch, and then Phoebe walks in, calling out, excuse me, pardon me, coming through, and then her feet just stop at the top of the step into the room.
She stands there kind of awkwardly for a moment, dancing a little, like, to herself, and then Adam makes his way over to her. He tells her that he's glad she came. She says she didn't have much of a choice. He says that she looks fabulous and hopes she isn't there with someone else.
And she says, nope, I'm not. Even if that someone else thinks that I am. And I'm miming like the finger waving, the finger wagging.
Yep. That seems to confuse Adam a little bit. And then Phoebe notices Cole walking up and she's like, speak of the devil.
Cole asks Phoebe why she's there, and she gets to say, these boots may be made for walking, but they're never walking back to you.
Yes. Never walking back to you, buddy. Which, of course, is a reference to the Nancy Sinatra song from 1966.
Which you should all watch the music video for.
It's quite
great.
good. Yeah.
And then you should go watch Tessa Violet's one for I Like the Idea of You.
Yeah. Gosh darn it, she's pretty.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Cole asks if he's up to something again, kind of as a rhetorical question.
Yeah.
And Adam asks Phoebe if she'd like a drink. So Cole's like, oh, are you guys together? And
Phoebe's like, yeah, isn't that part of your master plan? Cole says that he doesn't have a master plan, and she replies, yeah, not one that's gonna work.
oh boy, Phoebe, communication.
I swear.
Come on.
Like, oh boy. Phoebe and Adam start to walk away. Cole tries to pull Phoebe aside for a moment, but Adam tells him to back off. And he grabs at Cole. Cole twists Adam's arm, but it doesn't seem to hurt Adam, even though we are treated to the lovely sound of cracking.
Yeah.
So we are to assume that something in his hand is now broken.
Yes.
But he does not react to it at all.
And Cole is now wise to the fact that something is going on.
Yeah.
Phoebe tells Cole to let Adam go. He does. She asks Adam if he's okay. He's like, I'm fine. They start to walk away again. And Cole starts to tell Phoebe that he thinks she shouldn't do something. So she tells him she doesn't care what he thinks, tells him to stay the hell away from her, and she and Adam walk off.
We cut back to Paige and Grams making a potion in the kitchen at the manor. Grams has added a red and white checkered apron over her dress and is cutting up some mandrake root. She tells Paige that it doesn't do any good unless they cut it to expose the meat, and then roll it in a bit of mustard seed, but not too much. And then she throws it into the pot. There's a small explosion, and the potion is done. And it's very funny, because she throws it into the pot and steps back just a little bit. And
It's nowhere near as potent as the pig's feet.
no, not even remotely. But it was funny that, you know, she throws the bit in, steps back just a little bit, and you kind of see Paige step back just a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Even though she's much farther away from the pot.
Yeah.
Paige is surprised that Grams made the entire potion without once looking in the Book of Shadows. But Grams is like, honey, I wrote all of those potions.
Yeah, at least the good ones.
Yeah. She asks Paige to get her a vial, so Paige goes over to some cupboards and pulls one out. And when she turns around, the apple in the fruit bowl glows for a second. And she notices. And there's a bit of a moment where she just stares at it until Grams gets her attention. So she brings Grams the vial, who says it's a good thing she quit her job because she catches on quickly and she has a gift for the craft.
Paige asks how Grams knew that she quit her job, and asks how she knew she had a job at all. And Grams says that, you know, she peeks sometimes, but never during a private moment.
Which reminds me of the Tooth Fairy movie with Kirstie Alley.
Okay.
Like, Kirstie Alley's character, like, dies and goes to the afterlife and gets a job as the Tooth Fairy. And there's, like, her home base has this TV where she can watch people's lives to know when they're sleeping.
Interesting.
It's a fun movie.
Paige replies with a thanks, I guess, and calls her Mrs. Halliwell again.
Grams, once again, tells her to call her Grams, and Paige is like, I already had a Grams. You know, I loved her, and while we're technically related, it feels weird to call you Grams because I don't really know you.
Grams puts the potion into the vial and says that she's not trying to replace anyone in Paige's heart, but hopes that there might be some room left in there for her someday.
Paige says she seems to get her stubbornness from Grams, which makes Grams chuckle, and Paige goes to get vials for Phoebe and Piper.
She goes over to the cupboard, grabs a couple of vials, and as she turns around, the apple glows again, and she goes over to it.
Cut to the woods as Piper and Leo are walking along a trail in the dark. Leo's added a lovely dark jacket to his outfit. Piper has added a nice light jacket to hers. And Leo asks why Piper thinks she needs Grams to scry. Piper says she feels like she's 10 years old again now that Grams is back. And then Leo sees a red cloak hanging from a tree branch.
He pulls it down. Piper thinks that it's Little Red Riding Hood's, and then realizes that they're off the beaten path and immediately worries about Grams.
Back in the kitchen, Grams is stirring the potion as Paige picks up the apple and takes a bite. Her hair immediately turns long and black and center parted, and her clothes change into kind of a white nightgown-y type dress.
Yep.
Graham sees this, calls out for Paige. Paige seems to faint and falls on the floor. So Graham,
taking the apple with her.
Yeah. So Graham starts to rush over to her, but is stopped by the growling of a wolf in the doorway. And we get to see a very well-trained little puppy in the doorway, growling.
Yep.
It runs toward Grams, and we see a shadow of it leaping at her.
Well, here's the thing. It runs towards Grams. We see the wolf leap, and then see the shadow leap.
Mm-hmm.
It was a weird timing thing that didn't really work very well.
Yeah, and it's a weird effect because the shadow is how we see it devour her, and there's like a weird thing with how it does.
Mm-hmm.
Was it like particles or some shit?
Yeah, it was very
odd.
weird.
And then we
kind
get
of like-
the shadow of Grams standing up, and then we see Grams sigh and pick at her teeth. She looks down at Paige, just as Leo and Piper orbit. Piper's holding the cloak, asking what happened, and Grams is like, "Oh, she's dead."
Yeah, it seems that she's dead. And I believe that now all of the sisters have died at least once.
I don't think we can count this as a true death.
I mean, but it technically...
Well,
It's
don't.
a technicality.
I don't count it because everyone knows that Snow White wasn't really dead. She was just kind of in suspended animation.
Yeah,
So she's just kind of...
she was in stasis.
Yeah, she was in stasis. Like, she wasn't dead, she just... Like, it...
She wasn't dead, she just wasn't alive.
The piece of apple was just there, preventing her from, being alive. It wasn't killing her. It was just...
Sure.
It was the pause button.
There you go. We go to commercial break, and we come back to Leo trying to heal Paige on the floor. Grams walks past the apple that is now on the counter with 2 bite marks in it.
And it's browning.
Yeah. She goes over to stand nearby Piper, who is flipping through the Book of Shadows looking for something about poison.
Leo stops, healing not working, and Piper's like, "We're not giving up. It's a fairy tale. If Snow White can come back to life, then Paige can too." Piper asks Grams what she thinks, and Grams kind of scratches the back of her head.
Kind of like she has fleas.
Yeah. She catches herself and tells Piper not to get her hopes up. Piper says that Grams is supposed to be the expert, and there has to be some way. So Leo asks about a kiss because it worked for Snow White. Grams sniffs Piper's hair for a moment before Piper and Leo give her a look, and Grams backs off.
Grams agrees to a kiss, grabs Piper's arm, and tries to pull her toward the door, saying they need to find Paige's boyfriend. Piper pulls her arm back, saying Paige doesn't have a boyfriend, and you should know that. And Grams apologizes, chuckling a little, and then her stomach grumbles loudly.
So she covers it up by saying, "Oh, it's a bit upset." And then Piper finds a spell in the book, and she reads it out.
Hear our call for those who fall, urge her to awaken from this toxic taken.
Weird.
It's a
Leo,
weird spell.
yeah. Leo feels Paige's pulse. Nothing. Piper asks Grams what they do. Grams shakes her head. Leo tells Piper to focus on vanquishing the evil witch in hopes that it reverses the dark magic. And Piper asks Grams if she finished the vanquishing potion.
Grams immediately starts to stutter a little, says, no, it was a bad batch, then picks up the entire pot of potion and tips it down the sink.
The doorbell rings, and Grams asks Leo to, quote-unquote, be a
Be a
lamb
lamb.
and see who it is. So he leaves the kitchen, and we see Grams sneering at Piper behind her back, starting to growl a little, and she only moves away when Leo calls to Piper from the other room.
Apparently he ran to the door.
Yep.
Because, the kitchen to the door is a bit of a trek.
Yeah.
Piper gets up and walks off, and we cut to the foyer, where Leo is at the door as Piper walks up, sans book, because she got up and walked off with the book in her hand. Must have put it down on the table.
Yeah.
She asks what's up, and then notices
Seven dwarves
standing on the porch. And one
the
of
most,
them
the most recognizable of them.
asks, "Someone here eat a poison apple?"
Yeah, so let's get through those credits real quick, shall we?
Yeah.
There's 7 dwarves. Only 3 of them have credits. 2 more are uncredited, and 2 have no credit at all.
Yeah.
The one who speaks is credited as Head Dwarf, played by Danny Woodburn, born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, 1964. He's got 95 acting credits so far, starting back in 91.
Yeah, he's very much that guy. Like, you see him and you go, that's a recognizable face. But you can't necessarily remember what you've seen him in.
I'm pretty sure he was in 10th Kingdom.
Yeah, no, he was not in 10th Kingdom.
Oh, darn.
But he was in a bunch of the little things.
Like iCarly.
Yeah. He was in Jingle All the Way.
Yeah.
Things like that. The other 2 credited guys are Arturo Gill and Clay Rivers. Arturo was born in 1960 in New Orleans and has 73 acting credits so far, starting back in 1995.
Clay has no picture on IMDb, only has 7 acting credits between 96 and 2007. And our 2 uncredited credits go to Martin Kleba and Bradley Lays. Martin was born in Troy, Michigan in 1969. He has 103 acting credits starting in 94. Bradley has no picture on IMDb and 12 acting credits between 2002 and 2018.
Yeah,
This was his first one.
credit. Yeah. There are, I believe Martin was also the other one that I recognized. He was in a couple of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies.
Oh, yes! Yes, I remember him!
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's the other one that was kind of like, oh yeah, I recognize him.
Yeah, he was one of the, was he one of the original? No, he was in the replacement crew that Jack hired that had Zoe Saldana in it.
Sure.
Yeah.
I
In the
believe
first-
his
in the
character's
first
name was
movie.
Marty.
Yeah, I don't remember his name. I don't remember him talking, but we saw him in the scene where we meet the guy who has no tongue and a parrot that talks for him.
Sure. It's been a while since I've seen those, so I don't remember.
I'm like
but I remember,
pretty sure.
I remember him in that.
Anyway, back over at the St. Regis, Phoebe and Adam are dancing. Kind of weirdly,
Yeah, a little weirdly.
because they're not going with the flow of the dancing traffic.
Nope.
They're just kind of like waltzing erratically in a very strange pattern
Yeah.
across the floor. He tells her that he's not sure if she's dancing with him or dancing to make Cole jealous, and she's like, it's complicated.
Yeah. It's not like that. It's just, complicated.
Adam says he can have Cole fired, and she giggles and asks if he's serious. He's like, yes, please say the word. So she says, word, which means he can't do it because she didn't say the word.
Right? Yeah. But he says it's done. And
Also,
then-
I would have accepted bird.
there you go. He says that it's done, and then Phoebe sees Leo across the room as Adam checks his watch.
Leo points to Phoebe. Adam says it's almost midnight and asks if she wants to leave with him. She tells him to hold that thought and heads toward Leo.
Adam starts to follow, but Cole stops him, saying that he doesn't know what happened to Adam, but he knows evil when he sees it.
And
Adam, of course, says he doesn't know what Cole is talking about. Cole replies, of course you don't, and tells Adam that if he tries to hurt Phoebe, he'll kill him.
Cut to Phoebe and Leo nearby, as Leo has just told Phoebe that Paige is dead. Way to spin that, Leo.
Yeah, he then tells her that the dwarfs are all over it, and tells her that Piper cast a spell that summoned the descendants of the 7 dwarfs. He then corrects himself to say that they preferred to be called little people, to which Phoebe replies, Snow White and the little people.
Yep.
Which, personally, I think would be an interesting story.
Yes. Leo tells her that they know how to preserve the dead, and it'll buy them time to vanquish the evil witch that's behind all of this, so Paige doesn't start decomposing.
Yeah. Phoebe says that Cole is behind it. Leo says, not according to the elders, he's not, and says that Piper needs Phoebe to head home to try and save Paige.
Back at the manor, Paige is lying in a glass case in the living room, and the dwarves, little people, are standing around it, some cleaning the glass. Head dwarf asks Piper when Paige's prince is getting there, and Piper's like, she doesn't have a prince. And so he's like, well, who's gonna kiss her? And one of the dwarfs immediately pops up and he's like, I'll do it.
And then another one's like, no, I'll do it. And they begin to bicker back and forth before the head dwarf shuts them down, asking for some professional decorum. And then asks Piper to forgive them as, quote, it's been a while.
It's been a while.
Thank you.
Piper walks over to the stairs where the red cloak is draped on the banister and the woodsman's axe is lying against the wall. Grams comes over, asking what Piper is doing with the axe, and seems a bit nervous as Piper picks it up.
And Piper picks it up and doesn't seem like there's any heft to it at all, which I love that. I don't know why, but I just love that. Piper says she's not going to sit around waiting for the wolf to attack. Grams asks what wolf she's talking about, and Piper says that the Little Red Riding Hood cloak is meant for her.
Grams asks if she really believes that silly old story, and Piper's like, you're the one who said fairy tales are based in truth. Grams replies, that one was just made up to scare little kids, because a little girl gets eaten in the end. What a downer. And Piper's like, do you remember the end when the woodsman comes and opens the wolf's stomach and frees the little girl and the grandma?
Grams replies that that's not the popular version, as Piper swings the axe over her shoulder and says, it's in our version. And Grams asks Piper to show her.
So Piper goes upstairs, carrying the axe. Grams grabs the cloak and follows.
And then
the best
my
part,
favorite scene.
the best
favorite part of the entire show so far.
The head dwarf and one of the other dwarfs come into the frame, like foreground,
As
watching
Piper
them go up
is
the
walking
stairs,
upstairs.
and the other dwarf asks the head dwarf if Piper knows that's a wolf, and the head dwarf is like, not
our
my business.
Yep, not our business.
Not my circus, not my monkeys.
Exactly. It was perfection. Like, there are so many cute little moments in this where just the line reads are so perfect.
Oh my god, yeah.
It's great.
Back at the St. Regis, Phoebe and Leo rush into a hallway. They turn a corner, and this looks a lot like the courtroom that we've gotten where we've had to go to Cole's office.
Yeah, a little bit.
Like, just vaguely redressed so it looks less judicial
Yeah.
and more fancy.
Yeah, there's more flowers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, like, same marble floor.
Yeah. So they round the corner. There's no people around. So Phoebe tells Leo to orb and takes his hands, just as Adam walks around the corner. He asks Phoebe where she's going and who this guy is. Phoebe replies that he's her brother-in-law, that something has happened and she needs to get home, and apologizes. He asks to give her a ride, and then Cole shows up and tells her not to go anywhere with Adam.
Which makes Phoebe punch him in the face, asking how he could do this. She's apparently forgotten that Leo said he didn't.
Right.
Cole asks what he's done. Adam takes Phoebe's hand as Adam and Phoebe walk away.
Leo starts to say something. Cole tells Adam to leave Phoebe alone. Phoebe tells Leo to keep Cole away from her, and Leo stands in front of Cole to, like, stand in his way. And Cole tells Leo that Adam is evil, to which Leo replies, "And what are you?"
Yeah. I hate the idiot plot.
Yeah.
Like, in order for this to work, I would better believe, like, a series of random coincidences where, like, Phoebe doesn't automatically assume Cole is behind this because this is a bit, like, out of his realm, but then the first person she sees at the place might be Cole, and so she walks the opposite direction, runs into Adam, that kind of a thing.
Yeah. I know that we're not supposed to like Cole.
I know.
And I don't really like
But they're
Cole.
being really ham-fisted about it.
But, like, you would think that they would at least think for a moment that he might be telling the truth. Because, like, you know, evil knows evil, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that apparently wouldn't make for good storytelling.
Yeah, and Phoebe somehow has to forget the fact that Leo said Cole's not behind this, according to the elders.
Yeah.
Which, aren't they supposed to trust the elders?
Yeah.
Aren't they? Come on, Phoebe. Don't you trust the elders? Why am I putting on that voice? I don't fucking know.
I don't know.
Anyway, back at the attic in the manor, Piper is looking at the fairy tale book. Grams is holding the cloak very menacingly behind her, back near the doorway. And so Piper is going through the story, saying, you know, Red Riding Hood comes into the house, finds the wolf dressed as a grandmother.
And Piper thinks that Red would have seen right through that. And Grams is just like, skip down a little.
So Piper reads the line that Red says, "Grandmother, what big ears you have."
Grams replies, "The better to hear you with, my dear," and starts coming closer to Piper, still menacingly holding the cloak.
Piper continues with, "What big eyes you have."
And Grams replies, "The better to see you with, my dear."
Piper seems unfazed and continues with, "What big teeth you have."
And then Graham's voice gets very growly as she replies, "The better to eat you with, my dear."
So Piper turns to Grams, and we get a delightful shot where they're super zoomed in on Holly's face as she screams.
Yeah.
And then we see the shadow of Grams on Piper's face turn into a wolf.
Yep. And then it, like, the camera zooms into Piper's mouth as she screams.
Yeah.
We cut back to outside the St. Regis. Phoebe and Adam walk outside, Leo following, and we can hear the clock striking midnight. Leo then grabs his stomach in pain, crying out for Piper, and orbs out. Because, of course.
That's good a la convenience, at least.
Yeah.
Phoebe and Adam stand on the sidewalk. Phoebe's like, "Why are we here?" And then the horse and carriage from earlier come around the corner. So Phoebe tries to run.
Yeah, because Phoebe notices it and then realizes, oh, this is a bad omen.
Yeah.
So she tries to run away, but Adam grabs her hand. She, of course, loses a glass slipper while struggling.
The carriage pulls up in front of them and the door magically opens. So he, like, forces her into the carriage and shuts the door behind her. There's still a little bit of working outside.
Yeah, a little bit of the sequins gets stuck
And then
outside.
the final chime of midnight happens and the horse and carriage turn into a pumpkin.
We cut to the castle.
Forget about the fucking mice. Just a pumpkin.
Yep, just a pumpkin. We cut to the castle where the evil witch is watching through the mirror, and the vision of the pumpkin fades. She says, "The end."
And we go to commercial break.
Yes, it was a very nice way to break to commercial.
Back outside the St. Regis, Adam picks up the glass slipper, and he walks over to the pumpkin. No glass slipper in hand now.
Uh-huh.
Picks it up, and starts to raise it above his head as Cole walks out and tells him to put it down gently.
Adam turns around with the pumpkin still raised above his head, kind of...
Struggling?
Yeah, struggling a little bit, saying he can't or the witch will kill him. And Cole's like, yeah, I'll kill you too. And, tells Adam that he doesn't want to hurt her, meaning Phoebe. And Adam can't control himself, throws the pumpkin down. Cole slows time down, as we know that he can do, so the pumpkin doesn't hit the floor. And we see it in the wide shot, kind of like stretched out a little bit as it's like an inch or two away from the ground.
Yeah.
And then Adam also freezes in place, and Cole walks over and looks down to the pumpkin, which is now just a pumpkin, just sitting there. No stretch, no nothing. He picks up the pumpkin, looks at the pumpkin, and goes, "What am I going to do with you?" And I started giggling. Like, again, that set me off.
Yeah.
It was just the perfect line read. It was just so great.
Yeah. Then he unfreezes time and punches Adam in the face, telling him to keep his hands off his pumpkin.
Yeah. Keep your hands off my pumpkin.
We cut over to the attic at the manor, where the wolf is growling viciously at Leo, who's holding the axe, and loudly asking where Piper is.
Where's my wife? Where is my wife?
He's a little over the top about it.
A little bit.
And the wolf barks and then turns to the fairy tale book and jumps for it, like to jump into it.
Yeah.
So Leo cries out, and then suddenly the wolf is blown into a million pieces, and Piper and Grams fall out of the wolf in the trajectory that the wolf was jumping.
Yep. They land hard on the ground. Leo immediately drops the axe and rushes over to them, asking if they're okay. Piper and Grams get up. Leo asks what happened, and Grams tells him that Piper blew him up from the inside.
Yeah.
She also mentions that it took a bit, to which Piper tells her to back off because she just saved her ass.
Grams laughs. Leo says Piper's back with a smile.
Yeah.
And then Cole appears, holding the pumpkin. He's like, "Hey, it's your sister, and I had nothing to do with it."
I swear I had nothing to do with it. Grams, of course, wonders what they're going to do now. Piper says they're going to do what they were going to do and vanquish the witch who did this.
Cole asks if they know how to find her. Piper says no, but Leo's like, "I think I might." He tells them that the wolf was trying to get to the Book of Fairy Tales, so it might be a portal of some sort, but he's not sure how they can access it.
And he kind of like touches the book a little.
Yeah.
Like prodding the pages. It was very funny. Piper says that, they can't access it, but maybe Little Red Riding Hood might be able to, and picks up the cloak, saying that she knew she'd have to put it on sooner or later, and drapes it over her shoulders.
Grams hands her a vial of potion, telling Piper to show her who's the most powerful witch of all.
I do kind of like, though, that Grams, even though she had the wolf and the wolf poured the potion, because they had the one vial,
Yeah.
the wolf didn't think to get rid of the vial.
Yeah.
So they kind of smile at each other, and Piper's nose does that adorable little crinkle thing that it does. And then Piper touches the book and is sucked into the story. And we get to see the first page of the Little Red Riding Hood story. And I want to read this to you because I want this story so bad. You ready for this? Okay, here we go. Story time. There once lived a little girl who owned this magical hooded piece that was the envy of all the forest creatures. Her evil grandmother decided one day to teach her a lesson for no particular reason. So the old lady pulls in a marker from her poker pal, the wolf. Now, few people knew at the time that the wolf was actually a vegetarian, and wasn't really into chicks, if you know what I mean. But given that he owed the coot over a grand, and you never say no to a lady of snow, he obliged. So the story goes down pretty much the way we've all heard it, except for the part about the old woman's clothes. As the wolf tells it, he never was into that scene. He also swears he was nowhere near that disaster with the 3 pigs, says it was a frame job from one of the neighboring pork plants. He says he and the pigs go way back, regular homies.
Oh, this reminds me of, not Fractured Fairy Tales. There's like a book that has a stinky cheese on it.
I have
one?
I have a book of updated fairy tales,
Yeah.
and I love it so much.
Yeah.
But the last paragraph, because of the way that the book is shown, it gets cut off, so you can't really see it. But it kind of goes into how Little Red Riding Hood wasn't the sharpest tool in the shed, something about paw prints on the bed, and an insurance policy. There's a whole mess of thing in there, and I really want to read this story.
Yeah.
Like, if Little Red Riding Hood was this story, I'd be all about it. I want it so bad.
Oh boy. So we cut to the castle, where the evil witch seems a little worried that the mirror won't tell her what she wants to hear. And the princess is like, yeah, can't tell a fucking lie. The witch is like, if I'm not the most powerful witch in the land, who is? So Piper appears behind her, says, take a wild guess.
And we see her in the same clothes that she was just wearing, but this time with the cloak tied around her neck. I think it's very interesting that putting on the cloak didn't change her in any way.
Yeah.
The evil witch says that she saw the wolf eat her. It's like, how are you here? You can't be here.
Piper says she didn't agree with him, takes out the potion vial, saying, see if this agrees with you, and throws it at the evil witch.
The evil witch then screams that she's melting, which is a reference to the Wizard of Oz, and then she melts and disappears, and the apprentice is freed from the mirror.
The apple, the axe, and the pumpkin all appear back on their stands as Piper takes off the cloak. The apprentice is like, oh, you've saved me. She asks if he's the keeper, and he's like, well, I was the apprentice. And then we all look down at the keeper's dead body.
Yeah. Piper is, of course, worried that because the keeper didn't come back to life, that her sisters won't either. But the apprentice tells her that her sisters were the victims of fairy tale magic, so saving the fairy tales saved them. He then glances over to the slipper stand and sees that one glass slipper is still missing, and says that story must not have a happy ending yet.
Piper hands him the red cloak, saying he's now the new keeper, and asks how she can get out of there. So he thinks, and he gets an idea, and he walks over and picks up a pair of sparkly red shoes, like in the 1939 Wizard of Oz movie.
Yes.
Not like the original 1900 book where they were silver.
Yep. These shoes were only made red in the movie because they wanted to get the most use out of Technicolor. Did you know there are only 5 known pairs of the ruby slippers in existence? And one of them is in the Smithsonian?
I vaguely remember seeing how much they were sold for at Christie's or something.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Like a lot.
But that was years ago, so I don't really remember most facts about them now.
Yeah. But it was very, very interesting, though, that they only made them red because Technicolor.
Yeah.
Because...
I mean, they only made Ariel a redhead because the blonde wasn't showing up
Yep.
on screen, so...
Yep.
They wanted better contrast.
Yep. We then get an exterior night shot of the manor from the bottom of the stairs, under the tree with no leaves. And in the living room, the dwarves are taking apart the glass coffin.
Paige is back in her normal clothes with her normal hair, wondering how she got in a coffin.
Grams tells her that she was dead, but on the bright side, now we have something in common. Again, perfect line read. God, it's so good.
The head dwarf tells Paige that she ought to get herself a prince in case this ever happens again. She's like, who are you? And he's like, we'll send you the bill. And then he calls all the dwarves to leave.
They head out, leaving the glass coffin behind.
Yeah. And then at this point, Phoebe and Cole come down the stairs. Phoebe has kept the same pants, but has changed to a low, like the same pants from like the beginning of the episode.
Yeah.
And has changed to a low cut button down shirt that's like pink down the middle with white on the sides and sleeves and little pink dots that kind of look like flowers on the sleeves. Anyway.
It's buttoned just in the center, showing off her belly button. So like the bottom, like 3 or 4 buttons aren't buttoned.
Of course not.
Of course not. Phoebe is excited that Paige is okay and goes over to hug her. Cole realizes that the witch has been vanquished and wonders where Piper is. And just then, a swirl of light appears, and Piper appears wearing the red shoes.
Leo smiles when he sees her, and then we get a shot of the shoes disappearing in the same swirly light, and then Holly's feet going from like being like
tiptoed,
not technically tiptoed, but like up on the soles of her feet to like falling, her heels falling down to the floor. Yeah, like they've literally just disappeared. It's a great shot.
Yeah.
And so Piper asks if everyone's okay. Grams is like, yeah, thanks to you. It's time for me to go.
She asks Leo for a lift, but Piper wonders why Grams has to leave. Grams says she doesn't belong there anymore, and she goes over and puts her arm around Piper. She says that she was only there to remind Piper that she didn't actually need her, not even for the baby.
Phoebe says she felt like she didn't get to spend any time with Grams and puts her arms around Piper and Grams reminds her that she doesn't stay dead for long.
Which Phoebe says is a good point. And then they all smile. Grams asks Paige if she'll at least get a hug goodbye. Paige says that it was great to meet her, hugs her, and calls her Grams.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yeah. Grams replies, "Be safe, my darlings," and then orbs out with Leo. Paige heads for the stairs. Piper asks where she's going, and Paige is like, "I need to catch up on my fairy tales," and then goes up.
Phoebe is grasping Piper's hand, silently begging her not to be left alone with Cole, but Piper says she's going to go catch up on some sleep, pulls her hand away from Phoebe, and heads upstairs. Gotta love it. Like, deal with your own issues.
Yeah. Don't make me a subscription.
Yep.
Yeah.
Phoebe turns to Cole, saying, fine, you want me to say I'm wrong? I'm wrong. I'm sorry.
He's like, it's not your fault. I lost your trust a long time ago. I can't expect to earn it back overnight. So Phoebe says she doesn't think she's going to trust anyone anytime soon.
Cole tells her that Adam is a good guy who was being used by a witch, and Phoebe says that she doesn't think she can even tell anymore who's good, who's bad.
So we cut back to the ballroom at the St. Regis. Most of the lights are gone, off.
Turned off, yeah.
Everyone is gone. Adam is sitting in a lone chair in the middle of the dance floor.
Holding the glass slipper.
Holding the glass slipper. And so Cole and Phoebe are watching him from behind a column.
Yeah, they're in a pillar just a little behind him. Phoebe asks why they're there. Cole says that they're rebuilding her trust and reminds her that she liked Adam when she first met him. And she's like, yeah, so? He's like, well, he's not under a spell now, so go see if your original instincts were right. She kind of looks at him skeptically, and he's like, I don't want you to fall in love with him, but you need to realize that he's not evil.
Yeah. Phoebe asks why he's doing this. Cole says that unless she can learn to trust herself again, she'll never learn to trust him. So Phoebe walks over to Adam, pulls something out of her back pocket, and as Cole looks on, she hands it to Adam. He takes it and places the glass slipper back on the chair.
They walk off arm in arm, the slipper disappears, and Cole walks out into the center of the room and just kind of
Was it
stares.
his handkerchief, you think?
I don't know if it was his handkerchief. It might have been. All I know is that it was something square that she pulled out of her back pocket.
Yeah, pocket square.
Yeah. It might have been his
Those
handkerchief.
are square. Eventually.
I mean, that makes sense that it would be his handkerchief.
Yeah.
But, we never actually see what it is because we don't get a close-up of them.
Mm-hmm.
It's all in far-away shot.
Yeah.
But I think it's very interesting that we end on a shot of Cole standing in the middle of the black and white checkered floor and just kind of looking around at the nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And we see the chair with nothing on it.
Yeah.
And we go to the end of credits.
With the chair, there's nothing on it, but didn't he put the glass slipper down?
Yeah,
oh, right,
but then the glass slipper
Right,
disappeared.
Right.
Yeah. It was a very good episode.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is one of my favorites of the season so far. And we're very close into the season. We haven't gotten very far, but it's a good episode.
Mm-hmm.
So, end credits means we're on to ratings.
True.
Do you have a clue?
I'm going to give this one a 8.5 out of 10 slipper send-offs.
Nice. I'm giving this one an 8.75 out of 10.
Ooh.
Shoes and fruits. Because, we got apples, we got pumpkins.
Yeah.
Well, pumpkins are technically a fruit because they're a seeded plant
Yes.
thing, like cucumbers and tomatoes. They are technically fruits.
Seeds on the inside.
Yep. So, yeah. This one was very close to being a 9, but that dress just kind of knocked it down just that little bit.
Yeah.
It was... Oh, man. Speaking of that dress, we're on to outfits, since our ratings are done. Did you have a favorite outfit?
Piper's green shirt.
Yeah,
With the cloak.
That green outfit was really, really good.
I really love the cloak.
I enjoyed it with the cloak.
Mm-hmm.
It was cute. For Phoebe, I actually liked the purple shirt outfit before coffee was spilled on it.
All of the 10 seconds we saw of it without coffee.
And for Paige, I really liked that orange shirt outfit.
Yeah, that was cute.
It was just classy enough, and it looked really good. It didn't make her hair look brassy, and it didn't... it looked good with her skin tone.
Mm-hmm.
It was a really nice outfit.
Yep.
I surprisingly liked it as much as I did.
Mm-hmm. Although Graham's always has the best outfit.
I mean, yes.
It's just Graham's.
Yes.
Graham's has the best outfit. That's
Yes.
it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially that belt.
That was a good belt.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very nice belt.
Yep.
Yep. So, with ratings done and outfits done, we're on to social media stuff.
As per the usual, you can email any questions, comments, queries to charmedchats@gmail.com. And you can find all of the links to whatever was mentioned in the episode today at charmchats.com, which is where you can also find the links to our Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, YouTube, Redbubble, and Patreon pages. Also, if you want to join the Discord, all you gotta do all you gotta do is email the phrase, "We're the power of 2 plus blue" to us, and we'll send you an invite link.
Yep. Because, Discord is where it's at.
Mm-hmm.
We're a very small community, but we are a very loving community.
Yes.
Is a good time.
Mm-hmm.
Is a good time. So we like to thank you for listening and supporting our show. And if you want to give us a rating and review on iTunes, that would be awesome.
Awesome.
We appreciate each and every one of you more than you'll ever know. So until next time,
Sleep tight. Don't let the warlocks bite.
bye.
Bye.
Piper, Phoebe, and Paige, kicking evil's ass weekly in this war they wage. So we'll see where it's at next time with Kendra and Kat on Charm.